Hello, everyone. I hope this works. I haven't got my ears and I haven't brought my microphone. And it's not quite so windy down here, which is good news. But welcome to Carrow Road, the scene of a Norwich City victory. The first time they've led a game here at Carrow Road since February, after 38 seconds or whatever it was against Crystal Palace, of course. First time they've led a game since home or away since Anfield. Back in February, whenever it was. I've just seen Sean Dyche walk all the way across the pitch. I'm not sure why he's walking so separately. Maybe his car's in the car park and he doesn't want to see the sight of his players. I don't know. Yeah, Norwich won 2-0 thanks to Pierre Lees-Melou's first goal for the club, which he took well. Got a kind deflection that didn't take it wide. It took it in off the post. So that was good. And Teemu Pukki finished it off with defending that everything Sean Dyche stands for, I think he would hate. And it was a brilliantly made goal, in fact, from Matthias Norman's drilled pass. And fair play to Teemu, because it was a brilliant first touch to take the ball control. He then had a lot of time, but managed to find the bottom corner. That was quite late on. Norwich made it 2-0, kept a clean sheet. They have not conceded a goal to either Burnley or Brighton this season, which is something, really, given their defensive record. And at least for those in the group, it's something that for them backs up their belief of what they believe they can still achieve this season. I think they also know they're probably the only ones who believe it. For my take, I don't even want to talk about that really until we go to Old Trafford, because Norwich would have to win at Old Trafford really to even remotely enter into a conversation about it, as far as I'm concerned. And that would be such a remarkable victory there, given all that's going on at United and where Norwich are, that maybe then there's chat. But in reality, as good as it was for Norwich supporters and for the players to feel something positive from a game of football, they've actually killed the bottom the relegation battle, really, because it gives Everton a huge amount of daylight, and the bottom three are pretty much cut adrift now. So it's just a question of whether someone above the line can't sort themselves out, or whether someone in that bottom three somehow digs out some miraculous form. Obviously, it'll be Norwich's task to see if they can do that themselves, but that's not really for this conversation. Really, I think more important today was just allowing the people who had come here, and again there were sort of empty seats dotted around. I think people aren't really feeling it at the moment. You could tell that from talking to people before the game as well. But just giving the people who've paid their money and given up their time and their Sunday lunch to come here, just to leave and go, oh, that was actually enjoyable. and you know, to a degree, what makes things enjoyable are meaningful goals. Because you could come here and see a 3-3 draw and probably still feel like you enjoy it, providing you haven't conceded 3 in the last 5 minutes. And you know, there were 2 meaningful goals. Norwich leading a game obviously makes a big difference at this level, hugely to the dynamic of the game, and you know, it's an avoidance of chasing something. Looking at it, I thought Burnley had chances and really just didn't take them and missed them. And I think actually quite a few teams at this level would have taken them. I think sometimes Norwich actually got a bit of luck. I think of the chance quite late on where the ball looped up and actually ended up hitting the crossbar and going behind, whereas it quite easily could have hit the crossbar and gone forwards. It could have just dropped in front of the crossbar, and then whoever it was waiting would have had an easy header to score. Cornet had a wonderful chance to make it 1-1 on 65 minutes, and well, it was a wonderful chance. Elite level athlete, you know, should score, certainly should be getting it on target. He's free at the far post, open goal to aim at. He was having to stretch and his balance wasn't great. So you can you look at that and you see why he's missed it. Doesn't necessarily mean he should have done, of course. But yeah, I think those sort of instances went in Norwich's favour, and so many times they haven't done. What I would say that probably means is that Burnley are rightly in the bottom three. And I have to say, having watched them quite a bit, and certainly in the 2 games against Norwich, I think there's definitely an argument to be made that they are not particularly worse than Norwich. I mean, I wouldn't say, looking at it this season, that Norwich are by some distance the worst team in the Premier League, because I don't see Burnley as being markedly better, if at all. And in fact, Norwich haven't lost to them in 2 games, and in both games they've been worse than Norwich. So, and you know, that is something. yeah, we'll get stuck into all the ramifications of the season at some point in the future, obviously. But it is quite clearly the point that if Norwich can finish a couple of places above, then it sort of does alter the narrative of being a disgrace to the Premier League. But it also provides £1 million, I think, of revenue for each place that Norwich can finish above. And I have to say, there's nothing particularly groundbreaking what Watford are doing either. So the bottom three are the bottom three for a reason. And I think also it's fair to say that those above the bottom three are probably there and safe and will stay it, because Leeds are doing enough, clearly. Newcastle are owned by a country. And Everton, although are woeful, it takes a lot to get a club like Everton relegated. However mismanaged most clubs are, you need to doubly mismanage a club like Everton to actually get them down. So we'll see. It might pay out like that. It's a slight frustration that Norwich will go to Old Trafford with United having lost to Everton and probably feeling like they need to put in a reaction and a response. But Norwich have got nothing really that should be weighing on their shoulders. But I would say, I've seen it. They've won. They've really dug in. There are lots of really good elements to their play in phases. But you do watch a game like that, you do notice that the opposition are not as good as most of the teams Norwich play at this level. And also there were some pretty still big holes in Norwich's play. Now the question is, do they start closing those holes because they're gaining more confidence and looking a bit better and playing more pragmatically and maybe getting back to those glimpses we've had earlier in the season where they've been half competent? Maybe, but as I said, I would be quite amazed if this wasn't a championship fixture next season. And to be honest, most people who have left have kind of said it as much. But yeah, some really good things. I thought. Teemu Pukki scored his 76th goal for the club today. Got a huge standing ovation when he went off, and I think, maybe in a team where a lot of you guys and girls out there who have watched them and thought you don't really like many of them or you don't feel a connection with them, Teemu still has this place in his heart, and this place loves him, and so it should, because he is one of the finest goal scorers this club has ever had, and that is straightforward. So good on him to get such an ovation and to score. And over a consistent basis, for me, Teemu's probably been the player of the season. We may be Grant Hanley going close to that. I thought again, it's really interesting that Norwich came up against a really struggling Premier League team, although they've had a couple of good results recently. One. But Kenny McLean and Pierre Lees-Melou had a really good game in midfield. Norwich played a sort of a 4-2-3-1 variation, and it looked better. And I thought they progressed the ball and countered really well in phases too. I'd yet to see a game without Billy Gilmore and miss him, if I'm honest. And that's probably not a slight at Billy. I just feel like that's just the fact that what he is as a player just doesn't work for what Norwich are trying to do this season. He missed today through illness. I would say it's entirely possible he comes back into the starting lineup at Old Trafford. We'll have to see, won't we? But for my money, I wouldn't change this 11. I would give it another go, providing everyone's well, because as I said, Kenny showed a lot of energy and a lot of the good stuff. People sort of sometimes think, why is Kenny playing? I think there's loads of reasons why Kenny is playing. It's just sometimes easy to have a scapegoat who's black and white rubbish or good enough. And I don't think it's ever like that with anyone. I quite like seeing Dimi Anulis playing at left backs. If genuinely his thoughts that he wants to be here next season and he's happy with that, then I think that would be great, because he's a more than competent left back at this level. He just seemed to get hooked every time he conceded a goal that had obviously been warned against Liverpool and Man City. Well, how many fullbacks have done that? So I don't think Brandon deserves, and also Brandon can't play at Old Trafford, of course. So Dimi will keep his place next weekend as well. And yeah, I think. What do you want? It's Christos Jolis came on again from the bench quite late on. Didn't get to see much of him, but that was promising to see. Lucas Rupp is back. It's just nice to have a little bit of positivity without necessarily worrying about what it means, because in reality, it doesn't really mean a lot as things stand. Whether it goes on to mean something, we'll just have to see. But at least there was some of that enjoyment to be taken, albeit from at times pretty ropey Premier League match. And there we go. Yeah, so Old Trafford next weekend. I shall see you there. I I don't think I've missed anything, although I do seem to run this through the back of my head now. But yeah, just enjoy 3 points. Norwich have got 21 of them now. Are they 21 or is it 22? I want to say 20. I want to say 20. Oh, I should have checked, shouldn't I? Well, they're not far off beating their record from 2 years ago, which I suppose would be a start. I know they scored 20 goals, so that's something at least. Let's hope Norwich can keep scoring a few goals. Let's hope they can keep picking up a few points and some good performances from here on in. And then we can all enjoy the summer. Thanks as always for watching. It's always appreciated. I'll have a read through your comments and questions later. On the Ball podcast number 100 will be back on Monday. No, number 101. We've been stuck on 100 so often. I got stuck. Number 101 will be with you on Monday night. I hope you've been able to hear this. I will have my earphones back in next week from Old Trafford. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Look after each other. I will remove the score, although could leave it. It's a victory. I don't know how many more of these we've got in us. There we go. And I'll see you all very soon for another Premier League masterclass. I'm trying to find the end. See you all later. Take care of yourselves.